It's like, I was like, oh my god, this is in real life. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Lacquer Lover, and today I'm going to be talking about my New Year's Rockin' Eve performance experience. So I uploaded my vlog video as well as the outtakes from that vlog video, which include all of the BTS footage that I got. And I just want to say thank you so much for the explosive response on those videos. I have never gotten that many views in this short amount of time. And also well, they are already like in Korea. BTS already are back in Korea. I'm really happy about that. And I just want them to spend this holiday with their family. Anyways, today I have a very long story to tell, and I know that this background might not be like the most perfect background for this type of video because I do have some negative things to talk about, but I wanted to lighten the mood, so that's why you guys are looking at all of my BT21 stuff. And yeah, so let's just get into talking about New Year's Rockin' Eve. I had like friends who had been there since 3 something in the morning, and so like I ended up being in line with them even though I went later. And then I thought we were going to do this all together. It was like I went there at around 7 a.m. And so yes, I waited quite a long time for BTS. Maybe not as long as some people, because I know some people who have been there since the night before, and also really early, like 12 to 3 a.m. that day of the event. But I was there from 7 on, and yeah, I was very nervous. I barely slept before I went. I slept at like 1 something in the morning that day, and then I woke up at 6 or so. And then I got there pretty early, I guess you could say, and then we were just waiting, and we waited until 9 something, and then they started moving the line, and you basically go through security at this point, and once you get through security, you are pushed into a pen, and it's a pen of humans. So like if you think about it, it's like a pig pen, like pigs are rolling around, except it's all humans squished together. So I was on the side of American Eagle, and then there's another side of the stage across the street, and that's where the Express store is and where the old McDonald's used to be, but it's closed down now because they moved. But I was on the American Eagle side, and once I got there, I noticed that there's this really big like black fabric that is covering the side of the stage. And at first I wasn't really sure what the perspective was going to be. Like I knew that it was going to be their side because I watched this thing every year with my family, and so actually before going I was really anxious also because like it's just so out of routine for me. I usually ring in the new year with my mom and my dad by my side, and like watching the ball drop on TV, it's just a moment every year. So like I would see all the other artists' performance from previous years, and Taylor Swift, so she actually performed on the countdown stage as well a couple years ago, and I remember like seeing the crowd from her side. Yeah, but I didn't think that the two sides could be any like drastically different, but they totally are, because on my side, which is when the performer is standing on the stage, it would be their left. It's also where the host stands to like say their ments and stuff. So I would always see Ryan Seacrest, and I would see Lucy Hale and Jonathan Bennett, but this black fabric, you can barely see the stage because essentially the stage is like this, and then there's this portion, and you have to walk up steps to be on this like higher level, and then there's a little part that sticks out, and like usually someone is standing there and like waving to the crowd on that side, and that's the crowd that I was in. But because like BTS is a group, like I noticed during rehearsal that like it was not going to happen. Sometimes you could see their heads like poke out. I saw Jimin's head poke out. I tried to include that in my vlog, but I think I was a little too flustered and it was just really hard to see, so I apologize for that. But I just, yeah, for the moment that my friends and I got in, like we stood as close as we could. Like we weren't far because we were still pretty like early on in the line, but like my friend was just really worried because she was like, what are we gonna look at? Are we gonna look at their ears? Are we going to look at their backs? Like, I knew for a fact it was like the side, like I said, but then I just thought that somehow the stage would be higher than it actually was, but the stage was so much lower on our side, like, because there was this thing that stuck that was like higher up and covering them, so all I could see was their hair moving. Like, we were sitting down for some time, and then maybe around noon they kind of made us get up. I think it was like 12 to 1 or 1:30. They made us get up, and I mean, that's one of the rules. Like, you have to expect to stand for a very long time because they're like, you cannot sit. And for that reason, even though the day before I bought a piece of tarp, like something to cover the ground with, I didn't bring it. So I didn't bring anything like extra big or comfortable to sit on. It did have an extra like BT21 bag that I had, like, you know, in case, which actually came in handy when like people started sitting down, and then it wasn't as bad. But when I sat down, the people behind me, they were speaking a lot of Japanese, and then I was like, oh, Japanese army, that's like so cool, because like I don't see army from around the world that much. Like, even when I go to concerts, I'm like surrounded by, you know, generally just US Army, or at least army that speak English very well, but they were just speaking Japanese. And then as time went on, I mean, I was just sitting there, I was listening to music, I was talking to my friend, she was behind me, and she didn't have enough space to sit down, unfortunately. So I was looking after her stuff, and like I would turn around to talk to her at some point. But then it got to this point where she eventually was like, she alerted me that, oh, these people are probably sasaeng fans, which are the people that like invade the boys' personal lives. And while I don't know if that's true, I'm including it in this video because it's kind of pertinent to the rest of the experiences that I had that day. So, oh my god, I feel like I'm gonna tear up because it was just such a wild day. They had these really big cameras, and for me, it was the first time being so close to people that had such big cameras in like any BTS experience. And I was like, I gave them the benefit of the doubt because even though their camera lenses were literally this big, I gave them the benefit of the doubt because like I know there are fan sites that are really nice in person, like they don't do anything, they're harmless. Like, those are the ones that I like follow and know. I was kind of taken aback because it was just never something that I was into or paid attention to. These people, I was really shook, okay? Like, they were doing their makeup and just like looking down, and like now I just noticed how weird it was, and now I understand why my friend alerted me, because they were always looking down. They were all Japanese, 2 white coats and 1 black coat. The black coat one I could tell was like an actual fan because she made like a little picket thing, and I think she actually initiated the conversation when they were talking about BTS. Like, I could only hear like slightly what they're talking about because I don't know Japanese, but like there are some things that I caught in their conversation. But like the other 2 girls, they were just really focused on something else, and like you will see why they were so focused, and they were doing something with their camera. They're probably setting it up. And yeah, so that's how my friend ended up alerting me. And like I said, I didn't give it much thought. I gave them the benefit of the doubt because like I have no reason to assume that people are bad just because they have a camera, because they could just be like taking it from the side and not like aggressively pushing me and stuff like that. But that's exactly what happened. So when we got up at 1:30 something, it was okay because like nothing had happened, BTS weren't coming. But then suddenly we were getting very excited because we're like, oh, they don't make us get up for no reason. So once it got up, we made it. I mean, we waited a little bit. I don't remember the exact time, but we waited a little bit, and then BTS showed up. And so they went on the stairs first. We were really confused because like at first I couldn't see them. I was really surprised because I didn't expect anyone to be performing there. I thought it was just the stage right in front of us and that we would have a decent view, even though I had lost some hope at that point because of the black fabric that was covering the side of the stage. But they were just standing there. They were like on standby waiting for rehearsal, and then NYRE Secret spoke, and then they practiced Make It Right, and then they made it up to the stage, obviously on the other side of the street where the express store is. And of course those people got to see them more, probably about 4 times more, maybe have more interactions with them, just because BTS could see them through the bars on the stage because there's no black fabric covering it. Essentially how the other side of the stage works is that that's the exit. So there's a staircase that's going down, and because there's a staircase, there is this little like crack, you could say, that's not covered by fabric, because otherwise the staircase, like part of the staircase, would be covered with fabric, and the staircase is just like this. So that means that even if there's fabric here, there's like a big gap, there's no fabric. And so I saw a couple of videos of the boys like interacting with the people on that side, which I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, getting into when they're on the red stairs, it was already really weird because the fan site just started, like, I felt a camera on my head and on my shoulders, and then I was like, okay, it's not that big of a deal. But I mean, I was like a little threatened. It was, so at that point, I was like, oh my god, I really can't see them. I'm like zooming in on my phone. I tried my best, and I know that the videos turned out blurry because, well, to be honest, I couldn't even see them that well with my own eyes. Obviously, what I saw is clearer than what I captured, but it was so hard to see because they were still very far, and I was making sure I wouldn't lose my spot right in front of the crack where I could see them on the stage itself, because like then I could at least see both the songs somewhat. If I chose the red stairs over that slot that I had, then I wouldn't have seen anything for Boy With Love, not even their hair. So, you know, it was just like a middle ground for me, and so I don't regret it, to be honest. But the fan sites were really pushing onto the red stairs because they were trying to get their photos, because it's really hard to see through the black fabric. So they keep pushing and pushing, and eventually, like, I stuck onto the people around me that were in front of me actually in line, and eventually we got pushed behind them. And to be honest, I'm not 100% sure how that happened. I mean, I am 98% sure that it's because they kept pushing, and so they pushed to the front, and therefore I had to be pushed behind them to make space for them. But anyways, it didn't really hit me until they moved on to the normal stage, and then I turned and I was like, wait, there are like 6-7 people in front of me when there were like 3 or 4 people in front of me when I first got up. And I'm like, wait, these white coats, they were behind me. And then they started, of course, aiming their camera into the black fabric area, trying to take a photo, and of course it didn't work. So, I mean, they actually gave up on that. I could see that. Or actually, when they walked by, they were already, like, next to me. I saw in my video that her camera has, like, a hair tie on it. It was wrapped around it, and I was like, oh my god, I want to save Cookie from this monster, because she was really just, like, pushing that camera into people and just doing the most. Like, I've heard stories of how some fan sites are nice and like they don't need to shove people to get their photos, but this one was doing the most to shove that camera up to the front to get a better picture of the boys walking by us. But for me, it was like, okay, like, this negativity aside, like, when people were shoving and stuff, I felt like there was this window that was just, it opened in this instant where like V kind of turned, because seriously, I feel like I saw V's full frontal, and I was just like, oh my goodness. I just remember seeing his face and I was like, wow, that is beautiful. But like, if you asked me to say exactly what it looked like, I don't know. I just, like, I thought I left, I went to heaven and then came back. I was barely resurrected. But I did see V's face, and then I saw a glimpse of the other members' faces. Like, to be honest, I don't really remember like Jungkook's face, and that's really unfortunate because, as you guys know, Jungkook is my bias. But I don't know, I feel like if he had walked out first, I would have noticed him more, but V walked out first when they did the rehearsal, and then I don't remember who walked out second, but I was just really taken aback by that, by him walking by and me like seeing him so close. And I got it on video. I was really surprised that I did, because there was so much pushing going on in this very moment, because everyone was trying to get a better look at them. And so yeah, I'm surprised that the video isn't as shaky as I thought it would be. I'm really surprised, to be honest. I kind of remember J-Hope. I really just remember his coat, to be honest, and maybe a little bit of Jimin because like his outfit as well. But after this, I really feel like they are gods, because their faces are just so beautiful, and their skin glows. Like, I was like, oh my god, this is in real life. Like, one round of rehearsal, they like walk on our side and then they go back on the stage, and I think they were practicing the entrance, because that's what ended up happening during like the live performance later on that night. So they were walking back to the red stairs, and then they did this a couple of times. I'm not going to get into that, but through all of this commotion, I was shuffled to the back. After they left, which was very ambiguous because we couldn't see on that side, only the people on the opposite side of the street could even see them walking away or getting in a van, because I guess it actually makes sense anyways, because that is like the big road, I guess, that runs down Times Square. Like, that's where that was. So like, obviously they're going to get out of their car on that side and like walk on that side. I should have thought about that, but I didn't. After they left, people were like, you should move back. And then one of the girls wearing the white coat just sat down because she wouldn't move. I somehow like pushed back in front of one person with the other two people I was with, and so we were immediately behind her. She sat down, and I was really like, at that point, I didn't feel like threatened enough. I was like, you had the camera on my head and stuff, but like, you know, I was kind of worried that she was sick, but it was really just because she didn't want to move back, and that was like her form of protesting us making her move back. Yeah, now it all makes sense. All the pieces fall together. But eventually she stands up, and of course she doesn't budge, but somehow I found this crack. They weren't standing too close to each other. I noticed that there were two Japanese men that were like really close to one of the girls, the nastiest one. And of course I don't know her name, but I do know her fansite name because I saw her uploading her previews onto Twitter. And I mean, I didn't have to look that closely because I never really talk about my height and stuff, but I guess you can see I'm kind of tall and the same height as Jimin, so like 5'8"-ish. So it wasn't really hard to see. I just kind of looked down and I could see that she was uploading her previews, and she wasn't like really hiding. Well, she was kind of trying to hide it, but I saw it anyways. I don't know if I will reveal their fansite name in this video. I mean, if anyone even watches this video, you can always ask me, but I don't know if I want to publicly release it, even after everything that has happened to me. They were a Jin fansite that have been around for not that long. I'm just gonna give you information, but I won't release the name. They have like under 20k followers on Twitter, so if that narrows it down to you for you, then like there you go. I was just not expecting them to be so aggressive later on that day. So eventually I was able to find that crack and like slip back in front of them. My main goal was just to stand back in front of them because I know that if I were to stand behind them, I wouldn't be able to see anything. And that foreshadowed the rest of the night. But I was able to slip in this crack between the two girls, the nastiest one and then the kind of still nasty but not as nasty as her. I really tried, okay? And then eventually, of course, I got next to her, and I was standing immediately behind the people that I was standing behind in the beginning of the show. The only way that I knew and I could remember and I could like show them that I was actually behind them was because I had accidentally taken a video of her hood, which was so funny because I guess I had accidentally pressed the record button on my phone, and then I recorded. Once I had gotten in between the fan site, they were of course talking back and forth with me in the middle. I have no idea what they talked about, but probably really bad things about me, to be honest, because I guess I was blocking their way because I was way taller than them, and also because I had actually stood up for myself and tried to get back in front of them for after all of the things that they had done to everyone around them. Because actually at this point, I think my friend had left, the friend that I had been lining up with, because the police officer was calling for her sister. And at that point, I didn't think much about it because I was like, oh, maybe there's someone else also named this. But it was really her leaving because she had messaged me later on that evening saying that she was like suffering from a panic attack because of the suffocation. And I really do believe that is because of certain people that were pushing to the front and pushing others behind as a result of that, because my friend had been standing next to these nasty people from the beginning and had alerted me. It was that friend that had warned me this whole time that had ended up leaving. And I mean, I don't know if it was like a direct cause and effect. I don't know if they're the culprit, but there was just so much shuffling anyways. And I'm not going to say that like I didn't go into this expecting a lot of people pushing. I did, but I didn't expect to be threatened. I didn't expect to have like an actual kind of like, it felt like a fight. It was really a fight. It was a psychological fight, and who has the thicker skin? And I really hope that I never have to release that proof. It really is just me saying that like this video is not me ousting anyone. Like, things already happened. I just hope that I never have to experience it again, and more importantly, no one else has. The girl that was really like friendly with the fan site, she just didn't get the memo. Like, I could talk so long about her, but I'm not, because it's not even worth it. She wanted to use her surgeries and her injury as a like upper hand in this situation to get to see BTS sooner and closer, and it just didn't make any sense to any of us that were near her, because she had voluntarily spent the night there. Like, she was there the night before supposedly, and she wanted to see BTS sooner, but the schedule is online. If I'm just saying that this is not a normal event, like you need to be prepared and you need to know the consequences of lining up for all this time. If I had like a hurt leg, I would not be doing this. And also apparently she's stuck in 2014 because she called RM Rat Monster. I was just like, nasty people, just befriend nasty people, because she kept talking to the Japanese girls and were like, oh my god, so cute, and like trying to look into their cameras and like encouraging them to take the photos that they took. And like when you're in this crowd of people that have all been waiting so hard and have put so much effort into being there, like it's just not fair. It's just not fair. I'm sorry. Like at one point I was sleeping, and when you're sleeping standing up, you're going to like sway a little, and she was like, stop pushing me. We were all so confused with this one girl who kept trying to sit down, who kept asking the police officer like, when are they coming, and can I go out and come back in because my leg hurts. No, none of us have done that. None of us have left and came back to her spot. And then when she heard that if she left, she wouldn't be able to go back to her spot, she was whining again and trying to sit down. And the police officer was like, that's not safe. It really isn't safe. And I mean, I still fear for her safety because, like she said, she had a bunch of surgeries. She was just talking to those people so much and invalidating their methods. They're probably really angry because like, oh, I want to be in the front, that's why I pushed. That's what they were thinking. But because I was back into them, I feel like they felt like they lost a little bit or something like that. They're probably like, how did this girl get back in the front? Like, stop pointing your camera there and blocking everyone's view. Like, I understand if it's a phone, because like I also filmed, but the cameras were just, they were placing it everywhere, trying to shove it in between people's arms, and it was so aggressive and weird. But once I got back in front of them, they really showed their aggression, and this is the part where I felt super uncomfortable. Even the cameras being on my head and stuff, I was like, I can kind of look past that. You're trying to get a good view. That's what I thought at first. But when they did this, I had no mercy towards them. This girl was elbowing my back for 15-minute intervals for a whole freaking hour. And I don't even know. I was just trying to make space, but they were pushing on me. It felt like a rock. It felt like a rock on my entire back side. And I was like, there is just no space. I was wondering how I ended up so close to barricade. I never needed this for myself. I just wanted to not be behind their big cameras. I just feel like the whole elbowing thing speaks for itself, so I'm not going to release all the details. If you've never been to a concert, like basic concert etiquette, or just like, this is not really a concert, but when you're in a crowd like that, basic etiquette is that if you didn't line up, you obviously have to be in the back. Don't try to shove to the front. If you were in the front but shoved to the back, I think it's only right for you to go back to where your spot is, you know? So those are my 2 cents. I expected to just be like push and squish and stuff, but I didn't expect to have like this whole psychological fight with these people who pretended like they didn't know English, but they actually knew English. They were looking at BTS through a camera lens, and for me, I feel rich in experience, and they're dirt poor in any experience that they could have had, but they, you know, took from themselves. Yikes, that's what happened. And I was really nervous, actually, not just because of that. I was very overwhelmed by good and bad feelings and everything. Also, when they walked by, like, the nighttime, oh my god, their outfits, it was so pretty. So pretty. I was thinking about what they would wear during the night performance the entire day, and that just kept me going, I think, because I was like, oh my god, I can't wait to see them again. And at night, like Jin, wow. Also Namjoon, like, wow. Namjoon in his outfit, like his stage outfit, and then his skin, and then all the bling and everything, it just was so beautiful. They were like dancing, and I mean, I won't talk about that, it's in my vlog. It was just really cute to see. Very hard to see though because of all the phones and the big camera that was in front of me. I was literally looking through a crack because the cameras are so big and they ended up being in front of me, so everything just felt kind of pointless. I don't know, to be honest, when BTS are performing, I wasn't really paying attention to them unless they were in my line of sight. So for Boy With Love, I kind of just forgot that they were there. I was really living in the moment, even though I could barely see them. Yeah, I wish I had a better view, but at the same time I kind of have to be content with what I got. Like I was able to see them walk by so closely and on level ground. Like level ground. Even when you're close at a concert, you see them like really high up, and it's just a different feeling when they're walking kind of on the same ground as you. Like you see how tall they are, and everything is just more like eye to eye. And for me, that feels more personal and closer. So I'm so grateful that I was able to experience that. And of course, their lives were very, very nice. I was really into this moment because of, you know, the crowd. Like we fed off of each other's energy. Also, it was just kind of weird, like I said, because the stage was like high up and kind of blocked off. But like after they performed, they kind of just disappeared um, to the other side, and a lot of things happen on the other side of the street that of course I don't know unless I go watch videos, which I don't feel the need to watch. I did, however, watch their Bangtan Bomb this morning, and that was like the front view of their Boy with Love performance, and it was, the stage is bigger than I thought, and it looks like the background, the like Times Square, it looks so nice in the background. Like I'm just really happy for those videos. To be honest, I didn't really have a problem with the whole no bathroom thing. I actually even drank water throughout the day. Like when the show started, I started drinking more and more of my water, and by the end of the show I pretty much finished my water bottle, and I didn't even have to like pee really. Even when I got home, it could have been like my body conditioned to not use the bathroom anymore, but for real, I didn't have an issue with that. I feel like it's over sensationalized. I was going to spill the tea, but all I have to say is that I wish that no one has to experience what I experienced. I know that other people have had negative experiences with fan sites that were even worse, like maybe even like like the fan site actually like physically hurt someone, but for me this was just so alarming. I wish I never had to experience this, and I also wish that I wouldn't have to experience this in future tours, and that other people who are even younger than me, I wish you guys would not have to experience this. Ignorance is truly bliss. I also wouldn't blindly follow fan sites. Don't discount your efforts to get the photos that you got. Even if they're blurry, even if they're bad, those should be your favorite photos, and those should be your most precious memories. I feel like even if your photo is bad, you can make it your lock screen. It doesn't have to be a fan site. And what I want to say is that movement has memory. And so even if a photo is messed up because of movement, because of excitement, because of whatever, it is your property. It is yours, and it holds every little bit of what you had to do to get that photo and what you were feeling at that time. So never be embarrassed about the photos you take, and never just blindly follow a fan site, because you never know which ones are good and which ones are bad, and I'm pretty sure over half of them are not that great because they are actually illegal to begin with. I really just talked a really long story about how I was in the crowd, how I ended up being where I was, and how I saw a glimpse of them. But for me, it was still worth it because overall, even though the performance was 8 minutes and I pretty much only saw like a third of it when they were on the stairs, I still saw them when they were dancing to the other songs. I saw them walk by, which I never thought I would. It was a nice way to end 2019 and bring in 2020. I am really glad that I was able to do this with the boys and with the nice people around me. I hope that everything is just, you know, swell in 2020, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Bye, everyone!